Hello and welcome. Today we're going to talk about TSR hobbies and all the stuff that they've gotten themselves into. So I gotta say thank you, TSR, for coming into my DMs or my comment section on the original video where I was saying that, hey, it's great you guys are back. But as you can see, Cindershadow, you had more views. You were staying on the side of OSR and not Wizards of the Coast. Lol, idiot. Seriously. So you come in and you insult me in my comment section because I went through the process and actually found out what you're doing was fraudulent and made a video about it months ago. I've let this all go. I've walked away from most of this, and I've just been watching the lawsuit slowly walk away and slowly take its process. The courts take a very long time. At one point, he on the Indiegogo, they even posted that Wizards of the Coast has turned around and pulled out of this lawsuit and all this other stuff. No, that's not what's happened here. They're in the process of discovery at this point, and because both of them are business entities and they don't want the discovery process to go out there in the open, they're being sealed. The discovery process is being sealed on this lawsuit. That's where they're at right now. They're at discovery. So we'll have to wait to see what actually goes there. But I'm going to bring forward some other stuff going on here, because when I had that comment in my section, I went, why would you even do this? There's also other things going on in the community around Wizards of the Coast with former employees trying to do things in a castle, but that is for another video. TSR Hobbies came out with this anti-woke unclaimer. So this is to counter the narrative and counter the disclaimer that Wizards of the Coast put on the legacy products, saying that they were made in a time that it was different. History is history. You can't change history. And it, dependent on the way you want to view things in the world, is going to be where, if you're going to get offended or not for something that happened years ago. And I'm not for that. I'm also not for this particular disclaimer or unclaimer, because I find it actually very distasteful. At this gaming, comics, fiction, video game, or other company that we are not sexist, racist, unfairly biased, nor for the purpose of the product to send any hurtful, hateful messages in real life. That is great. End it right there. Done. However, the second you put onto a however or a but, the first thing, you throw it out the window. The first sentence that you put in there means nothing now. You put in this however. Now there's a stipulation with this. This is like saying free speech is free speech unless you say this. It doesn't work that way. The second you put in a stipulation here, that can go out the window as far as I'm concerned. We are not bending or bend the knee to the truly worthless, pathetic people demanding incredible changes, extortion, employment, or handouts, and ruining of legacy products because, or in threat of being found problematic. First off, breaking this down, you're calling people pathetic, which they're not. People are human beings. And you're saying they're extorting employment. There's a little bit to take back there. They're not so much extorting employment. I don't see it as that. They've grown up in a situation and in a scenario where they see the world very differently than you and I. That is, I see the world in a very different perspective. When you get away from the online world and you talk to people, what I have in the back of my head right now, and I've been saying this a lot to a lot of people, is 40 fingers and 40 toes, or 40 fingers and toes. That is a line from a Tragically Hip song, and it is to bring down, back down to earth. The online world is the online world, but when we meet people face to face, I have 40 fingers and toes because you do too. It is the most common thing we have in common. Sitting there and trying to call people pathetic, calling people idiots in a comment section is not going to win you any favors. As a business entity, how does this put you on a pedestal? How does this actually make people want to be alongside you? It doesn't. Matter of fact, we might add extreme content we'd otherwise not just offend these types. Now, extreme content aside, there is things that are being removed from Dungeons and Dragons in particular that I don't agree with. They're removing things, evil scenarios. They're removing things from the game, such as people being enforced into slavery, but part of the quest is you go and free them. That is the whole thing. And it was one of the better quests that was made back in the day. It was the slavers. It was one of the things, and then you freed them and all this other stuff. Look at Game of Thrones. She what was her name? She goes in and frees all the slaves of the people, and then they're free, and then they still want to fight for her and all this other stuff. And it's just, it was going through the motion and actually having that big quest and doing things properly and going through that. Is this problematic? No, this is how you storytell. This is part of the story. This is how you go forward. And that shouldn't be seen as problematic when it comes down to it. We consider the woke a false cause that will, if anything, do long-term damage to real progressive ideas that pretend to champion and a magnet for people with deep personal problems that gaming will not help. First off, I've tried to move away from the term woke myself because I don't want to buy into it. I don't believe it's so much that point. The only thing that comes down to it is the go woke, go broke scenario, which we're seeing worldwide, but that's because people want to put on these labels. And it's the labels themselves that we had moved past back in the 80s and 90s. We stopped using labels on how to describe people, how to identify people. Everyone is their own individual, but we all have 40 fingers and toes. I can't spell it out anymore. Gaming is about fun, friends, private business, and all else above the values of free speech, not pandering and censorship. Throw out free speech, throw out the pandering, throw out the censorship. That all in itself. Play the game you want to play. And that is something that I've always bought into. But you want to sit there and say, oh, it's private business. Yes, when you're playing D&D, I spoke at this at length a while back in a video. I'll try and put it up there. D&D in itself is not one of these games you can walk in and just join a party. There is D&D tournaments you can do that in, and that is a completely different competitive scene of the game. But if you're in the back of a hobby shop or a game shop and you're renting the space and you have someone suddenly come up and want to join your campaign, it's not that easy. First off, a lot of people that are in there are probably good friends. They probably know their nuances on how they talk to each other, how they can do things, and some random stranger coming into that group will create friction, and that friction will create offense, and that is the problem that we have here. D&D is a very private game. It's not a very public game. Yes, it's a publicly purchased and publicly sought after game with adventures that have been put out there, but that's what the free market does. The free market is going to be the one thing that opens this game up and makes it fair. Now, when it comes down to the values of free speech and not pandering or censorship, people want to put in whatever they want to put into it at this point. Do that. Do that. That doesn't mean when you're playing the game by yourself, you have to abide by the letter of the law. This is what's called rule lawyering in D&D and these many games. If you sit there and you have to follow the exact letter of the law, then things just they go down and they don't do it. The rules with D&D are a guideline. They're not made in stone. They are not the 10 commandments. They are not the things that you must live by every day. And that goes for both sides of this stupid coin that I keep coming back to. I don't care what side of the coin you're on. If you want to be around this channel and around here and actually have fun, we're going to sit there and make videos. I'm going to make things that people may get upset about, and I take that feedback and I roll with it. Or you're going to sit there and you're going to have fun and enjoy the little things in life, which I am trying to do here. But when I get told that I'm an idiot for siding with Wizards of the Coast, when I am in no way siding with Wizards of the Coast, I'm also in no way siding with TSR here, because all I'm after is the truth. Thanks for watching. This is Proud Canadian Phoenix Cindershadow signing off. Have yourselves a great day, and don't forget to like and subscribe.